Well, in the beginning, there were libraries. No, seriously. I mean, we've been keeping track of things in libraries for a long, long time. You go back to the Library of Alexandria, you go back to the old Roman libraries, you can go back to the old Greek libraries 1,000 years before that. Libraries have long been considered part of the commons. The common wisdom, common knowledge, something. There have been times in history when libraries have been only available to the select few, the monastic libraries. In fact, there have been times in history when much of what we now know of the great and ancient wisdom of philosophers and scientists from millennia ago, centuries ago and millennia ago, was just the result of monks copying things down over and over and over again and keeping track of this. But then the idea, really got popularized with Ben Franklin, who helped not only start the first post office in Philadelphia, but also the first public library, and one of the projects of his Juno Society. And so people don't so much show up in libraries anymore. They don't so much, the library business is getting harder and harder because people are getting more and more of their information off the web. So shouldn't free public Wi-Fi be the equivalent of the free public library? It seems to me like it should. Steve Titch is with us. He is the Telecom Policy Analyst for the Reason Foundation, reason.org, the website. Steve, welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you?
I am great, but I'll get better. I hope the same is true of you.
Yes,
Why would free public Wi-Fi not be the modern-day equivalent of a free public library?
Well, it's kind of they're two different things. Wi-Fi is a service.
So is a library.
It's a broadband connection. A library is really, it's a database. It's a place where information is stored and kept and accessible.
But I can go into the library and I can access the Wi-Fi for free.
Well, that's...
or the internet, rather.
The Wi-Fi is giving you internet access. In a way, it's giving you access to greater information. But the point is that somebody still has to go out and build the Wi-Fi network. At some point, you have to... there has to be a cost that's in...
Well, somebody had to build our libraries. We collectively said we think that having public libraries is going to make us smarter. It's going to, it's going to be part of our intellectual commons. It's going to be an important part of our intellectual commons, both for our young people and for people throughout their lives. And therefore, we're going to make libraries free. We're going to pay for them collectively out of our tax dollars. And I know, libertarians like yourself think that taxes are things that are taken by people with guns and wrong, especially if you're a billionaire. No, don't tax me. But hey, there is this thing called the commons. It is part of the American tradition. Is this not? How could this not be the modern day version of Ben Franklin's idea that every person, regardless of their station in life, regardless of how rich they are, regardless of whether or not they have access to money from the Koch brothers, that they should still have access to the wisdom of the ages? Okay.
Well, let's look at it this way. It's still costly to build a broadband network.
Right.
You have to find a way to cover that cost.
Right.
It's a cost that's it isn't just a one-time sunk cost into a structure and maybe you budget how many books you're going to buy like you will a library. You have to.
Well, libraries have ongoing costs and they have ongoing personnel costs.
But they're predictable. You're dealing with a lot of variables with a network. There are about 6 or 7, before I came on, I've got about 6 or 7 Wi-Fi devices in my home today. If I were to use, they would, some of them are broadband, some of them are broadband, like certainly my PCs and certainly my DVD player. Those all create management issues. Who is going to operate these Wi-Fi networks? Are you going to have a government department building, operating, and managing it? Are you going to outsource it?
Well, here's my metaphor for this, Steve.
a current service provider, or are you going to overbuild? You're going to start running up costs. You're going to start running up.
Well, may I respond?
Costs. Yes.
Okay. I would say that the commons part of it, if we look at free public Wi-Fi like libraries, it's a basic minimum service. I mean, a library, if I want, a large selection of a wide variety of books, yes, I'll go to the library. If I want to get the latest and greatest coffee table book as a gift for one of my kids, I'm going to go to a bookstore. I mean, they can coexist just fine, and in fact, they do. I mean, Amazon and Barnes & Noble are doing just fine, thank you very much, and at the same time, there's an enormous amount of stuff that's available in free public libraries. So it seems to me that if somebody wanted to do commerce over a public Wi-Fi, it probably wouldn't be the level of service that they need. If somebody wanted, on the other hand, to simply have access to the internet, to be able to read the classics or just read Wikipedia,
that's a good observation, but that's not. But where do you? That's a question you have to set up when you're setting up public broadband. Do you have parameters? Are you going to limit? Are you going to limit bandwidth or program it so really the best access you're getting are things like Wikipedia or a newspaper or photographs? Is it going to be something or is it going to be something that replaces current commercial broadband, where you can download videos, you can watch streaming video? Now, are you kind of thinking of kind of a baseline public service that?
Yeah, the same as I think that
you a minimum bit of bandwidth that really is something different than what you're getting from internet service providers. From commercial internet service.
Right, just like if I go into a library. I mean, there's a very good chance the book I want, they only have 2 copies of it, and if it's a popular book, I'm going to have to get on a waiting list and wait a month for it.
You can get free wireless at your library. You get free wireless at a lot of at Starbucks, at McDonald's. I was reading in the Times that kids will go down to McDonald's, and McDonald's doesn't even pressure them to buy stuff. They'll do their homework there if they have to. If you're a traveler, you're finding this service in more and more places.
Right, but I'm talking about making it available to everybody, just like a public library is, not just to somebody who can afford to go into McDonald's. And yes, they will not kick you out if you don't buy anything, or at least so far, or Starbucks. But the pressure's pretty clear. If you don't have a latte in front of you that you're slowly sipping, they start giving you the dirty eye. And
well, Tom, it's the thing you've been talking about has been tried on a number of.
We've been doing it since 1740. It's called the public library system.
Well, there's been some municipal wireless projects over the past 10 years. They don't, and they've tried to do exactly that. Cover areas.
No, I lived in Portland when they tried to do one that didn't succeed. But now that we're talking about let's use higher frequency bandwidths, where you've got radio waves basically that can move through concrete, that can move through because the big problem with the Portland experiment was half the city couldn't get it.
Yes.
So let's use these gigahertz bandwidth frequencies rather than the 822 megahertz bandwidth. But Steve, we've run out of time. I think that I get it. I'm guessing you'd prefer to just see this all privatized. Is that a good summary?
I think that will achieve the goal of what you want faster.
Okay, all right. That's our philosophical difference. We'll leave it at that. Reason.org, Steve Titch. Thank you, Steve.